You're my brother, you're my sister, so take me by the hand. Together we will work until we're done. There's no foe that can defeat us when we're walking side by side. As long as there is love, we will stand.
I've been thinking about this theme of the game of life and how it's played and what it takes and what do we need. And one thing I was real clear about is that the game of life is not solitaire. It's not something you can do on your own. We need people to lean on. We need to be there for others who might need to lean on us. And hopefully it's not the game of sorry, where we get to the end, and we need to apologize and live with have a bunch of regrets at the end of our life. And hopefully we don't live our lives like a monopoly, where we're just trying to bankrupt everybody else and keep everything for ourselves. So I thought a better metaphor was Connect Four. And the way this idea of connections. And so in order to kind of illustrate my thoughts on this morning, I want to begin by asking you to think about something that you want for your life. Okay, so take a moment and think about something that you're hoping for, yearning for, a goal, a dream that you have for your life right now. And when I say this is about you. It's not, I want the former president to go to prison, for example. That's about somebody else, right? I know. Well, it might be. You might want Hunter Biden, depending on your politics. I understand it's a wacky world out there right now. But I'm just saying, for you, something that you want for your life. All right, and when you think about that, I'm gonna come over here and just say if you think, that's the first step to winning in the game of life, if you will, to living a fulfilling life, a meaningful life, is to have that, be in the game. I've got some wants, I've got some dreams, I've got some hopes for my life. And so if we just kind of put that in there, that's the first step. But it's not obviously winning the game. It's just the first step. And of course, as soon as we take that first step, and the thing is, it could be a lot of things, right? It could be something like, I just want to lose some weight. I'd like to lose about 5-10 pounds, get down to the weight when I was married or something like that. But it could be, I want to go back to school to study to be a doctor or a welder or a nurse or a lawyer or a teacher. It could be all kinds of things. It could be, I want to reach enlightenment in my life. I want to have a good relationship in my life. I want to have enough money in the bank to be able to feel secure in my retirement or secure in my life. It could be, I want to write a novel. Always wanted to write a novel or publish a poem or write a memoir. So there's lots of things that I want to run for office. So there's lots of things that we might dream and yearn for, but a lot of people are afraid to even acknowledge it to themselves, that this is what I want for my life, in fear that maybe it won't happen. But the first step to play the game, we have to acknowledge that. But immediately, as soon as we do, resistance comes to try to block us. And usually the first form is it comes in a sense of self-doubt. You know what? I can't write a book. I can't finish a degree program. I'm just unlucky in love. Whatever it is, there's some self-doubt often, or it could be criticism. Somebody else says, "You stop drinking? Come on." Or whatever it is, right? So somebody says something and you go, "Yeah, I can't do that." Or it could be a self-criticism from the past. Somebody it could be a former teacher or your parent or your sister or whoever who said something, "Oh, you're not very artistic," or your poetry is okay, but it's not great, or people can't get along, you can't get along with people, or whatever it is that somebody has set in our minds that often blocks us from even beginning to pursue. So I would say, and this is a bit anecdotal, but 80%, let's say, of, I think, people's dreams end right there with the first obstacle. There's always an obstacle, and usually the first one's internal. And let's say 80% of people's dreams just die there. They just never decide to forge on. But if you do decide, hey, I'm gonna keep going, and you push through that initial criticism and self-doubt, then you start moving towards, you apply for that degree program, or you apply for that job you really want, or you put yourself out there for a relationship. You start writing that novel, or whatever it is that your dream is and your hope is, and you start having some success in that, and you're starting to move, and you're starting to feel like, hey, this is starting to go. Maybe my new business is starting to take up. I got a few customers. So that's all great, but then the second big block starts coming in, and trying to block us and stop us from doing that. Maybe a couple big things. So a pandemic happens. All of a sudden the stock market crashes. All of a sudden you lose your job. Your spouse leaves you. Something happens. You fail the test. Your student loan disappears. Whatever it is, something always happens to get in the way of this. And you can think about so many stories from, of famous people. I mean, you can think of Beethoven. Beethoven was 21 years old, was a phenomenally accomplished musician, was making a name for himself as a composer, and then he starts going deaf. That pretty much for most people, that would put an end to your career as a musician and a composer. And yet, he went on to compose some of his best symphonies after he was deaf. Think about Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey was 23 years old. She dreamed about being a journalist, dreamed about being on television. She'd seen people on television, said, I want to do that. And at 23 years old, she was fired. They said, you're not fit for television. She was a newscaster. And we see what happened to her. She probably bought that news company and is running it right now. You have Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln lost a number of elections, and he could have easily said, hey, I'm a loser. I can't seem to do this. People don't want to vote for me. They don't agree with me. But he kept fighting. He also had depression. He dealt with some serious depression, and he went through some dark times, and he found ways to continue to move forward in his life, and he did that. And then you think about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company, the company that he created. Right? So, a lot of things come in and can block us, just keep blocking us while we're trying to move forward. So you take that first step, there's self-imposed blocks. You take that second step, stuff happens in the world. So you get sick, you get a health crisis, someone in your family gets a health crisis. Just all kinds of things can happen that can stop us from moving forward in our lives. But then if you continue to push forward, through all these different blocks that keep coming, especially once you start, wow, look at that. So that can happen too. That can happen too,
You gotta start all over.
You gotta start over and then more blocks. So there's lots of things that can happen. You never know what's gonna happen, and yet, if you keep pushing through. And how do you push through those really hard blocks, especially once you're it's like, I've got money on the line, I put my life out there, I'm out there trying to make this work, and now, bam, pandemic, inflation, whatever, health crisis. A lot of us will draw on other people who we know are positive in our lives, who can help support us. Sometimes some of us rely on prayer. I know that's a big one for me. I just get there and close my eyes and ask the universe and ask God, please be there for me, support me, help me. Get me through this, and that can often just give me that last jolt of strength and hope and determination to keep going. Other people just find that inner strength somehow, walking out in nature, knowing that we're connected to all that exists, the whole Big Bang and everything. It's like, I'm a miracle, I'm amazing. Somehow I'm going to have a purpose in this life, and I've got something to do, and I'm going to do it. And somehow that allows people to keep going forward and pushing through that second big obstacle. But if 80% of the things get stopped, dreams get stopped at the first block, then I would say of those 20% that are left, another 80% get stopped by that second obstacle and never live on. But if you push through, you find your way, and you keep going, you can keep that connected, just like Abraham Lincoln went on to become one of the best, some people say the best president we've ever had. Beethoven went on to write some of the best symphonies he's ever written. Oprah Winfrey went on to become one of the richest people in the world and one of the most successful television personalities in the world. Steve Jobs got fired, but Pixar changed animation and movie going for all times, through that, and then ended up getting hired back by Apple, inventing the iPad and some other things after that, which has revolutionized many of our lives. So it's about remembering that obstacles are going to come and continuing to push through. But now, even with this, we're still not all the way there. So here you are, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I've done it. I've lost the weight, but my life's not happy. I found that relationship. I got that job. I have that degree now. I wrote the book, but it's written, but I'm still not happy. And so we realize that it's still not enough. Even when we achieve these different goals, we still feel like it was all supposed to come together now. And so I want to share one thing with you that is attributed to Steve Jobs, that supposedly he wrote this at the end of his life while he was in the process of dying, although there is some question of whether he wrote it, but if he didn't, he should have written it. Because it's pretty brilliant. It says, "I reached the pinnacle of success in the business world. In others' eyes, my life is the epitome of success. In the end, my wealth is only a fact of life that I'm accustomed to. At this moment, lying on my bed and recalling my life, I realize that all the recognition and wealth that I took so much pride in have paled and become meaningless in the face of my death. You can employ someone to drive the car for you, make money for you, but you cannot have someone bear your sickness for you. Material things lost can be found, can be replaced. But there is one thing that can never be found when it's lost: life. Whichever stage in life you're in right now, with time you will face the day when the curtain falls. Treasure love for your family, love for your spouse, love for your friends. Treat yourself well and cherish others. As we grow older and hopefully wiser, we realize that true inner happiness does not come from the material things of this world. Whether you fly first class or economy, if the plane goes down, you go down with it. Therefore, I hope that you realize that when you have friends, buddies, brothers, and sisters who you chat with, laugh with, talk with, sing with, talk about everything under the sun, that is indeed true happiness. And so the point then is that in the end, we win the game of life with love. And that love is the special ingredient and the special sauce, that no matter where we are in the game of life, no matter where it ends, no matter what we achieve or don't achieve, it truly is about how we play the game. And how we play the game, if we play it with love, love for our friends, love even for our enemies, that's the kind of love that changes the world and makes our lives feel full. Because we know, even when we're angry with someone who's angry at us or mean to us, we don't feel good about ourselves. It's not like we're walking around feeling good about ourselves while we're steaming and smoke's coming out of our ears about someone else in our life. And so this idea of finding ways to love more fully and bring love to bear, that way, no matter where we end up in our stage of life, what we achieve or don't achieve, we will be successful. And that's the connection that matters most, is that connection of love. Now, I want to say one more thing, because I've been focusing on our individual lives and dreams and success in our individual lives, but I want to talk about our community as well. We've had a lot of new people joining also. We have 18 people join just in the last 3 weeks. And so people are coming and they're finding All Souls, and it's an interesting time in the life of this congregation. But one of the things I say to new members when they join, if I'm doing the joining class, is I say, I want you to know that at some point this church may break your heart. And I say, not on purpose, but something may happen because it's a human community. It's messy work being in community and being a church community and all of that. And so I say, at some point, the church will do something, you say, well, that doesn't feel like love beyond belief. Maybe they forgot to call, church forgot to call when something was going on in your life. It seemed like we should know, but we didn't. Or, sometimes it's just something technological. I know people have received a letter from the church that still has their ex-spouse's name on it. And that never feels good, especially if we're trying to raise money. That really, they're like, these people don't even know me. What are you talking about, So, and that often is just the symptom of somebody in the office used the wrong, mailing list and printed out the wrong labels or something like that. But it can make somebody feel really disconnected from the community, feel really like people not seen. And the other thing that I sense that we get it right 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of 10 times we're over there at the house with the meal, we're making the call, visiting the hospital, showing up for each other. And that's, 90%. That's a pretty good percentage. Any politician would love that. Most students would love a 90% grade average. But if you're the 1 in 10 who didn't get the call, felt abandoned, felt left out, that feels awful. It's 100% for you in that moment. And these are often life and death and serious things. And so here's what I want to say about that. And that is that in any healthy relationship, we all take responsibility for the success of the relationship. And so what I want to say is don't let us fail. Don't let us fail you, and don't let us fail each other, because we all want to be doing the right thing and bringing love to bear in our lives and creating a healthy, strong community. But sometimes, if we miss something, send up a flare and let us know. Call the care team, call somebody. Let somebody know. And I know that that's not easy. It's not always easy to say what we need or say what we want. Think about it in our personal relationships. I'm thinking of the classic story of a couple. They decide to stay home on a Friday night and watch a movie together. They agree. They want to watch the same movie. This is what they've been wanting to do all week. It's Friday. They sit home. They're sitting on the couch. They're watching a movie. And one of the people in the couple says, I really wish that the other one would put their arm around me or take my hand or that we could snuggle. But they're not doing it. And so as the movie goes on, the person's becoming more and more upset and feeling more and more lonely and abandoned, and my partner's not very affectionate, and I'm, and why aren't they taking my hand? And they never take my hand, and and it starts to become, and then by the end of the movie, the other partner who's watching a movie and thinking it's great, and they've achieved what they set out to do that night, watch a movie together, they go to bed, and can't figure out, why is my partner so mad at me? And won't talk to me, and is really upset. And eventually when the person finds out, I wish you just would have put your hand next to my hand, or would have asked me to put my arm around you or something, because I would have loved to have done that. I was just so into the movie, or I was so distracted by something that happened at work that day that I just wasn't thinking about it. But I would have loved to snuggle with you on the couch. I just for whatever reason, wasn't thinking about it. And had you asked me, I would have loved to do it. And if you think about that, then just from that little act of asking for what the person needed, they would have felt connected and fulfilled and had a successful night, and their partner would have been a successful partner, loving partner, and everything would have worked out okay from that one ask. But it can be hard, because when we ask for what we need, it's vulnerable. Because the person might say no. There is always the chance that somebody could say, no, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that, I don't feel like doing that. And so it's scary, and that's risky, and the game of life is risky. And if we really want love to be successful, we have to make those hard choices. So I just want to say, with regard to our communal life, that if you're ever sitting home wondering, how come I haven't got a call, or how come I didn't get a card from the church, or anything like that, please let us know, because we want to show up. And then we'll show up with all kinds of support, through our care teams and all the different things that make this church what it is. But if we miss it, it's certainly not intentional, and it's often just the wanting that person to just make sure we know. Because otherwise, we get to the end of something, and someone's like, well, you didn't call, and I was sick, and they're really mad, and they feel really disconnected, and then we feel awful. and you feel terrible, and everybody feels disconnected. So there's lots of ways that we get blocked and disconnected in life. And so if I could just come back over here one last time and just say that this is the formula that I want to share this morning about success, that we have to be willing to dream and know what we want and be willing to take the risk of asking for it, asking ourselves, asking the world, asking the people around us for what we want, knowing that blocks are going to come, expecting it. That's part of the deal. There's going to be things, roadblocks that are going to get in my way. We may have to change directions. If you remember that game that Randy and Casey were, she was trying to win this way, and then she tried to win that way, and sometimes it doesn't play out the way that we expect it to play out. But if we have the goal of love in our life, of some kind of success, we might have to change directions, but keep going through the first block. The first block is often our own self-doubt, our own self-criticism, and then the other blocks from the world, the society at large, the unexpected things that may happen. Keep working towards that, and no matter what, if we keep going, and no matter what stage we're in, if we bring love to bear as our central principle in life, then we can be the most successful. So I just want to say I love you. I hope that you feel the love of this place, and that you will do your part as we do our part to be successful in our communal life together, so that we have a place that is truly a place of love beyond belief for everyone. Thank
you. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, we can give from deep within you. You can change the world.